Tatum. Oh, the land of the free and the home of the brave. I'm a proud American from my birth to the grave. 47's the tall, took a bullet for all. Didn't flinch, didn't run, still the answer the call. And we say, be tight, be tight, be tight. The Officer Tatum Show. Be tight, be tight, be tight. The Officer Tatum Show. Oh, the land of the free and the home of the brave. I'm a proud American from my birth to the grave. 47's the tall, took a bullet for all. Didn't flinch, didn't run, still the answer the call. And we say, be tight, be tight, be tight. The Officer Tatum Show. Be tight, be tight, be tight. The Officer Tatum Show.
If you don't believe that we are in a fight today, you're sleeping under a rock. If you get hit and you lay down and you cry and you fold up in the corner, definitely you will not win the fight. We show up to win. Our culture needs a lot of you young people in here to step up and stand out. There is nothing or no principality, power, division, devil can stop us when we're united. They can only get you when you're divided. When I see the American flag, I see us progressing to something that can be awesome and great. And if you don't plan on winning then, you might as well go on today.
Ladies and gentlemen, ladies, welcome back to the Officer Tatum Show. I hope you guys had an incredible, wonderful weekend. It is a blessing, and you blessed. Even if you don't believe you blessed, you blessed. If you're watching this, that means you lived. That means you're alive. That means God has given you another opportunity. So let's get into a few things that I saw and I noticed over the weekend. One is that Bill Maher is officially going to a White House dinner to meet Donald Trump. And it's interesting to me because how much will the tide move? Not too long ago, we saw instances like this, or people like Bill Maher who could not stand to even breathe the same air as Donald Trump and had Trump derangement syndrome to the umpteenth power. And now we're seeing people wake up and realize that maybe, just maybe, the lies and deception has all been just that, lies and deception. So here's a video, and you guys probably seen this before, but I just want to make sure that we're clear and it's confirmed. And I'm showing you evidence is confirmed that Bill Maher is going to go meet Trump for dinner. Here's a clip with him talking about it with Cuomo. Wrote a clip.
You're going to meet with the president.
I am?
So Kid Rock makes it happen. What do you think has been the response so far? What do you think it will be, and why are you doing it? Which I'm totally for, by the way, and I love it.
I get it. Well, I'm doing it because, first of all, it was presented as
a dare.
not a dare. No, just like, maybe this is a beginning to heal America. Now, I don't have some sort of complex where I think I can heal America. I can't. Okay, let's get that clear. I'm not going to be healing America.
We know.
But if two guys who've been at each other for so long, I mean, it's kind of a Nixon to China thing. I have the credentials. There was nobody who was harder on Trump or more prescient about the fact that he wasn't going to leave office voluntarily than I was. I feel like I have the credentials. But they also respect me because I'm honest about the woke train to crazy town. And I don't shrink from that. And I've also lost a lot of fans for that. The woke people have left the building, and I'm willing to make that sacrifice. But it does give you a certain credibility. So I just think to meet somebody, first of all, it's an honor to be invited to the White House.
Yes, it is.
And I've already had a couple of people who I said to them, I'm just going to take it as a backhanded compliment that you glide right past the idea that little Bill Maher from Rivervale, New Jersey, just a humble kid from the suburbs, was invited for a private dinner to the White House. You glide right past that to how dare you talk to him, and that you're not impressed by it at all. I'm impressed by it a lot. I'm impressed the out of it. I get to go to the White House.
Well, good for him. Let's go to clip 4. This is another clip of the invitation to the dinner. Roll it. Clip 4. Accepted to the dinner. He accepted the dinner invitation. Bill Maher.
And comedian Bill Maher is not listening to critics who are upset over his plans to visit President Trump at the White House.
I'm not playing this game that you mean girls play.
Yes.
Where like, oh, you know what? You can't sit at my lunch table because I'm just not talking to you. And you also have to respect that, the guy did win. It's more than half the country or whatever. I mean, I keep saying it. I'm not going to hate. You can not like Trump. You can hate him. You can't hate everybody who vote for him.
Yes.
I don't hate half the country, and I don't want to hate half the country.
Yeah.
It's just not where my mind ever wants to go for my own mental health.
Yeah.
Is all this hate.
Yeah.
So yes, I will talk to anybody.
Yeah.
And it's an honor to be invited to the White House under any circumstances.
Absolutely.
Perfectly reasonable as that. The comedian also joked that he will not dress like Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky. He wants to dress for success, guys.
So
Yeah, just suit and tie.
They asked, what are you going to wear? He's like, I'm not going to dress
Yeah.
like Zelensky. Obviously, that was an issue.
Yeah,
But I think it's great that
funny.
Kid Rock's doing this.
I love
Absolutely.
it.
I
Kid
prefer
Rock
the
connected
Fetterman
them.
dress code. I like that one.
Thank you very much, Carly. Yeah, Kid Rock is brokering a peace summit, essentially. Right. And if he has some time, if he could do something with Russia and Ukraine, I like Kid Rock on that one too.
I like it.
I just think it's incredible that the country is so divided that this is news. That someone from the other side goes to the White House to
Right.
meet with the president. That we're so pulled apart that him going to the White House just to meet the commander-in-chief becomes a news story.
It is.
And it's only because we're so divided right now.
Yeah, but think about during the Biden years, when was the last time Joe Biden
Exactly.
or his team invited somebody who
course
was,
not.
True.
from the other.
Let me give some more context to this, because I think it's not just Bill Maher, for the things that many of us who got into politics, more recently, it's not just that Bill Maher hated Donald Trump for a little bit of time and then now he's going to the White House because he's jumping on the bandwagon with everybody else. They have a long history of things. In 2013, Donald Trump sued Bill Maher, which is, it's petty, boy. It's petty. But I think it's necessary. The lawsuit, and we have the clip of it when he was on Jay Leno, he joked that he would donate $5 million if Trump proved that he wasn't a son of an orangutan. Now, how preposterous it is to even suggest that. But he came on the show, and we got the clip, and he mentioned it. And since Donald Trump submitted his birth certificate and proved that he wasn't the son of an orangutan, he sued Bill Maher for $5 million. The case ended up dropping, but here it go on Jay Leno.
Donald Trump is suing Bill Maher for $5 million. During an appearance on The Jay Leno Show, the comedian implied that Trump must be, quote, the spawn of his mother having sex with an orangutan, and offered the mogul $5 million if he could prove otherwise.
The color of his hair.
Yeah.
And the color of an orange orangutan is the only two things in nature of the same color. So
Maher was mocking Trump's offer to donate $5 million to the charity of Barack Obama's choosing if the president would release his college paperwork. Trump promptly produced his birth certificate and affirmed that he is indeed the spawn of two humans. When Maher didn't pay up, the billionaire announced the lawsuit on Fox and Friends. Maher's reaction to the announcement is best summed up by his tweet after hearing of the lawsuit.
Well, anyway, Trump dropped a lawsuit, but it goes to show how ridiculous some of these people were when they were saying negative things about Donald Trump. If you don't know really Bill Maher's stance, Bill Maher is a liberal. He's not quite a leftist anymore. he still have leftist tendencies, but he's more of a liberal. When I say liberal, it just means people who are not quite off the cliff yet. I think they still believe in things that I think are radical and that are unnecessarily believed upon by certain groups of people because they're soft and effeminate or emasculated men. And I'm not saying everybody's like that, but let me just give you some examples. The biggest red flag of all when somebody says, I'm for climate change. The reason that I say it's a big red flag is because you can never get to the bottom of why somebody would really be for climate change. Because it used to be global warming. Then after the grift is up and they realize the globe isn't warming because they said it was warming. And then there's evidence to show that there's no signs of the globe warming to any significant degree. And they had to change it. Now they call it climate change, which is absolutely ridiculous and immeasurable because the climate will always change. The question is how much human intervention is causing the climate to change at the rate in which it's changing. Many of the folk who believe that the world is billions of years old, I think that 100 years or so of human intervention by using fossil fuels is not going to somehow radically change the environment of the entire earth. It's almost a conspiracy theory at this point, because when you look at the earth, you essentially realize that like 80% of the earth is uninhabited and uninhabitable by human beings. If you ever looked in the sky, and I did it yesterday at my son's tournament, it's right by airport in Mesa, Arizona, and they take off, and those jets take off, and they glide into nothingness. In a scope of view that I could see, which would probably be about 30 miles this way and 30 miles that way over the horizon. And then you see that plane that to us is massive. And it goes into the sky and it turns into a little dot that's immeasurable when it comes to the scope of how big planet Earth is. And then you begin to realize that look at how little these people are. Look at how insignificant human beings are on planet Earth. I mean, you're talking going up about 30,000 feet, which is pretty much nowhere in comparison to the ground and outer space. 30,000 feet is absolutely nothing. And at 30,000 feet, you can't see anything. Just think of how little and insignificant we are. I would argue that almost our insignificance is like an ant. An ant is burning a barbecue grill in ant world. How much environmental impact do you think a little ant burning some smoke on this little dirt pile, as expansive as the atmosphere? I think it's a grift. And the only way they can grift you like this, in my opinion, this is my opinion, is because to the human being, everything seems to be connected like this. From the human being, you go from here to downtown and it feels saturated with people. It feels like, you know, when people think of their world, they think of the whole world existing in this bubble that they live in. But then you go to Israel from the United States of America and you fly over the ocean for 10 hours at 600 miles per hour. And you realize, what in the is out there? 10 hours. We were flying almost 10 hours over the water. I mean, there's just vast amounts of water. And it's miles deep. It's just unimaginable how much water is on Earth. And nobody's nowhere near any significant existence on 80% of the Earth. And we're not going to even talk about Antarctica. I mean, my man, I think Antarctica is the biggest continent in the world. And no one lives in Antarctica. Not a single human lives there. Maybe they're setting up a tent there to do research, but none of it has been explored. What are we talking about? A couple ants over here and a couple ants over here is going to, this Earth that's been rotating on axis for 10 billion years or something crazy is somehow going to be completely thrown a loop and humans ain't going to be able to exist because 100 years of people putting emissions in the atmosphere. and all these trees that exist in the Amazon and all these different things that give us clean, fresh oxygen, somehow that has no impact on it. It's a bunch of bull crap, in my opinion. Same-sex marriage. Of course he would agree with same-sex marriage. I think same-sex marriage ain't even a thing. I think two people can be together. Two people can love each other. I think something is off if a man want to be with a man. But look, you live in America. Do you, boo? Ain't got nothing to do with me. Just don't add me in your equation and we ain't got no problems. But it should be a civil union or a relationship, not a marriage, because a marriage is between a man and a woman. A marriage is a covenant between God and man. And you can't play with that, in my opinion. But of course, either marijuana legalization. Many people believe in legalized marijuana. I believe in medical marijuana. I do not like the idea of people going to buy marijuana randomly down the street somewhere. I don't like that idea. But people voted for it and they get what they want. That don't mean I have to smoke it. But medical marijuana, in my personal opinion, is invaluable to society. But people going out and smoking weed and blacking themselves out every day, I don't think it's productive for our culture. Obviously, he still believes in woke culture, political correctness to a certain degree. He's combating woke culture. Let me correct that. And political correctness, obviously, he's now standing up against it. And certain aspects of the Democrat Party, he's skeptical of, which anybody with a connected brainstem would be. So that's pretty much Bill Maher in a nutshell. When he speaks to Donald Trump, I cannot wait to see what the dinner is like. I can't wait to see what it consists of. Hopefully he comes out being a realist, because I still think Bill Maher had 40% fakeness in him. It used to be 80, now it's 40%. I think when he meet Trump, hopefully it goes down to 20%, which means that if he really liked Trump and he really have respect for him, when he comes out of the meeting, he's going to say it. He's not going to hold back and try to capitulate to people who might be his followers, because he don't want to really go all out there and put himself out there and be a Trump supporter because he was so against Trump at one point in time. That's what I'm hoping that he would do. If he does, in fact, find that he's been wrong about Donald Trump and that Donald Trump is a likable person to him, I want him to come out and say it and quit trying to beat around the bush like Stephen A. does. He does it. It's a whole bunch of people that just come, they put their foot out of the closet, but they don't want to come all the way out. I would love to see him come all the way out the closet. Now let's get to the next subject, which is Gavin Newsom going on Bill Maher's show. Now, Gavin Newsom is a complete snake oil salesman. There's not a bone in his body that's genuine, in my personal opinion. I don't know him personally. But when I see what he's done to California with a smug on his face, and he's starting a podcast like a brain dead imbecile. And the reason I say that is because why are you starting a podcast talking to conservatives, posturing yourself to be the president, when you just effed over California without consent? You messed them over. You ain't even go to the Walgreens and get nothing to protect yourself. You just screwed them. Let me just give you, before we play this, let me just give you some facts. People in California already know what I'm talking about. But if you don't live in California, we wrote some facts down here. If you don't live in California, you may not be aware of this. Now, this is since 2020, California has experienced a significant outflow of residents under Gavin Newsom's leadership. Over 700,000 people have left California between 2020 and 2022, and it's probably even crazier now. According to the Census Bureau, California's population decreased by about 500,000 people. The state's high cost of living, housing crisis, tax rates, homelessness have been cited as major reasons for people to leave. Texas, Florida, Nevada, I would argue Arizona as well, have been most commonly the secure destination for people who are done with California's degeneracy. California's state of debt. Today, the total today as we know it, California overall debt is estimated to be $300 billion. The general fund debt, that includes bonds and other obligations in the amounts of $80 billion. Pension liability. California also faces significant underfunded pensions for their state workers, estimating to be around $200 billion. They finna screw you. Just so you know, you working in California, you think you finna retire, they finna screw you. Other liabilities includes healthcare costs for retired state employees and long-term disability obligations. They're spending millions and millions of dollars on illegal aliens for their health care, and the people are suffering. Homelessness is out of control, and this fool trying to do a podcast. Roll the clip.
John Fetterman was in the news today. He said, if you're talking about the Democratic Party, he said, if we don't get our together, we're going to be a permanent minority.
I agree.
And I see you're doing something about it. I applaud it. I think it's great. You've got this podcast. You're talking to people. You know, it's amazing to me that even that is controversial to some people. They call it platforming. If you talk to someone you don't agree with.
Yeah.
I feel like this country is divided into owners and healers. People who think you can own the other side. Yeah, well, Gavin Newsom owned DeSantis. Yeah. DeSantis destroyed Gavin Newsom. Yeah. Or people who want to talk and heal. And I feel like the next president's going to be, at least if it comes from this party, the Democratic Party, someone who wants to talk and heal. And I feel like we're doing that.
Hold the phone. I hope that we have more wisdom than this right here. Gavin Newsom does not want to talk and heal. Gavin Newsom wants to position himself as a moderate so he have an opportunity to run for office. Think about this for a minute. Why didn't he want to talk and heal 3 years ago? 2 years ago? Last year? Why didn't he want to talk and heal in his first term? That's because he's finna term out. He's not going to be able to run for governor again. So he cannot be the governor of California. What's his next move? To be a podcaster? No, he's not. He wants to have people on so he can present himself as a moderate. And therefore, when he runs for president, he can accumulate votes on a moderate level. Gavin Newsom does not care. He's a snake or a salesman narcissist. That's what I see in him. Roll it.
It's really been interesting, the reaction to the podcast. I mean, we had some controversial figures on, I'll acknowledge that, and Steve Bannon, Charlie Kirk, and some others. But you're right. I mean, this idea that we can't even have a conversation with the other side.
You have to. They won.
Thank you. That's it. Bottom line. And by the way, or the notion we just have to continue to talk to ourselves or we're in the same damn echo chamber. These guys are crushing us. The Democratic brand is toxic right now. We had a high water mark 2 weeks ago, and that was a CNN poll at 29% favorability. It's dropped in the NBC poll down to 27%. It's one thing to make noise, but you also have to make sense. And I think with this podcast and having the opportunity to dialogue with people I disagree with, it's an opportunity to try to find common ground and not take cheap shots. I'm not looking to put a spoke in the wheel of their, or at least a crowbar in the spokes of their wheel to trip them up, to your point. And I think it's important. Democrats, we tend to be a little more judgmental than we should be. This notion of cancel culture, you've been living it. You've been on the receiving end of it for years and years and years. That's real. And Democrats need to own up to that. They've got to mature about this.
So what do you say to people who say, well, this sounds all very good, but Governor, you were the poster boy for a lot of this stuff. I see today the Trump administration they talked about, I don't know if this is true, but they talked about the fact that California had a rule that schools cannot be required to notify parents if their kids in school have changed their gender, their pronouns. That's the kind of thing, even though it doesn't affect a lot of people, that makes a lot of people go, well, you know what? That's the party without common sense. Now, if that's your state, how are you?
Well, I just disagree with that. I mean, the law was you would be fired. A teacher would be fired if a teacher did not report or snitch on a kid talking about their gender identity. I just think that was wrong. I think teachers should teach. I don't think they should be required to turn in kids. And by the way,
we're talking about their parents. How can you snitch? The idea of a snitch and a parent to me doesn't compare.
Well, I don't.
I was thinking that same thing when you said. He said, you don't require teachers to snitch on their kids. Wait a minute, bruh. You can't. That's like saying you snitching to God. I mean, kind of, sort of, right? Not unequivocally, because we ain't our kids' God. But at the same time, it's like there's really no snitching. That's our Lord. That's the person who created us. Like, there's no snitching. He needs to be revealed. Everything you do to your Father in heaven. You don't hide from your Father and snitch, and your Father knows better than you. He's here to protect you. Now, God knows everything, so that's why the analogy isn't 100% accurate. But when it comes to your parents, I need to know everything my children are doing. The school that my son go to, they have a fire drill. Today we had a fire drill. My son, I think he had something like his nose was running or something. He went to the nurse's office to get 2-3 tissue papers. He's back in the classroom. They tell me everything that happened. Anything happened, trouble, no trouble. Some kids arguing in class, they telling parents, look, this is what happened today. Let us get ahead of this. And I think that's invaluable to do that. I am a firm believer in capitalism. I'm a firm believer in freedom until it come to my kids. I am chi-chi-ping them. It's 100% communism in my house. You don't have no rights up in here. My son, I'm on my son, all his stuff. I'm looking at, I see whatever messages people, I'm communist China. I see your messages. I see what you message that person. I'm on your Instagram. I let him have a little Instagram. I'm logged in. Every time somebody messages him, it notify my phone. Well, what y'all talking about? I'm spying. You in your room, I come in that room anytime I want to. You don't have a lock on the door. I take the door off the hinge. You don't have no privacy. What you talk about, your conversation is my conversation. What you doing is my job to know. You don't have no autonomy up in here. I give you a little space, but when I'm ready to break the barrier of that space, you don't have nothing to say about it. Now, when you go off out of my house, you in the American freedom. When you in my house, it's communism. Ain't no snitching on your kid. Like your kid, my kid's transit, and my kid went to the counselor and said, I think I'm a girl. Hey, I would like to know my son is feeling like this so I can get him the help he needs. Roll it.
Hey, what is the job of a teacher? It's to teach. If Johnny's talking about some identity issue or some issue about liking someone of the same sex, is the teacher's job to then report that? By the way, in this law, the teacher can still do that, but they can't be fired if that's it can't be fired if that's not what they do. And that's something I think is, I just think that was fair.
What a snake. Go to Charlie Kirk whooping his head. See, this is what happened to you when you're not genuine. And some people are delusional enough to accept what he's saying. He clearly fumbled that. Bill Maher asked him a basic question of the lunacy. He threw him a softball. The lunacy of teachers can't be fired or held accountable if your kid transition at school and they don't tell you. I think they should be fired. That's almost a breach of contract. We have a contractual obligation for you to do your job, and I'm going to do my job as a parent. If you're not fulfilling your promises, there has to be consequences, especially when it comes to your child transitioning. And then he asked him a simple question he can't answer because he's a snake oil salesman. Well, technically, they can't get arrested. What? That's the law shouldn't even be a thing. Forget the arrest. You could have it not being a law and have the arrest out of it at the same time. You don't have to have that as a law and a requirement, and then you complain about not being arrested. Ain't no way in the world a teacher should notify the parent if the kid is doing something like that. The only reason they're doing that because they want to protect the kid from the parent. They want the kid to transition and not be obligated to tell the parent because the parent may disagree. The parent may pull the kid from the school. The parent may have a religious issue with a kid being gay or transitioning at 6. Now watch him get roasted on this with Charlie Kirk as well. Roll it.
You have expressed that I should be concerned as a Democrat, that we're getting clobbered.
Yes.
That you've figured something out.
It's not me. The president first deserves the credit.
But why? No, hold on. You were at this before Trump was Trump.
I know, but
he was a Democrat back in 2011
and
12.
The president deserves huge credit, and I just have to say that as an obligatory thing, because without him, our movement would be small. And why is it you were able to clean it up for Xi Jinping, but you can't clean it up?
Guys, that was the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. By the way, you guys weaponized that. I saw that on 25 things. It was the most ridiculous. That was. You know what? I will happily revert back to your
streets
point
as clean as a Xi
weaponized. In
Jinping.
this case, weaponized.
Can I
in
get
this
the,
case,
can I,
weaponized.
Can I get the Xi
It
Jinping
was
streets
ridiculous.
back?
Give me a break.
No, but Governor,
Give me a break.
with all due respect, I
That
saw a
was
beautiful
absurd.
picture of San Francisco that looked like Singapore.
By the way,
and then Xi Jinping leaves and the Walking Dead come back.
By the way, it was APAC.
I-
You had dozens and dozens of foreign leaders. And California is not San Francisco, but I am the governor of California, not the mayor of California, not the mayor of San Francisco.
You were the mayor, but I just want to understand,
No, I
why
was the
is it
mayor
that we have
back
to clean it up?
20 years ago.
But you have to admit, it's emblematic of something that if enough important people show up, it can get clean. So why not make it clean all the time? So like you right now should come out and be like, you know what? The young man who's about to win the state championship in the long jump in female sports, that shouldn't happen. You as the governor should step out and say no.
No, and I appreciate.
But like, would you do something like that? Would you say no men in female sports?
Well, I think it's an issue of fairness. I completely agree with you on that. So that's easy to call out, the unfairness of that. There's also a humility and a grace, that these poor people are more likely to commit suicide, have anxiety, and depression. And the way that people talk down to vulnerable communities is an issue that I have a hard time with as well. So both things I can hold in my hand. How can we address this issue with the kind of decency that I think, is inherent in you, but not always expressed? Any Democrats you admire out there right now?
Democrats I respect.
Were you a
Bobby
Manchin
Kennedy
type?
I respect. Tulsi Gabbard.
Why are you laughing? Why are you smiling?
Because they're on our team now. Because you guys kicked out your best people. It's like the people that were into. This is a great point, though, Governor. Is that Bobby Kennedy was a heterodox opinion on a thing that a lot of people were concerned about. Get him out. He's an anti-vaxxer. Yeah. Tulsi Gabbard, who was an anti-war. Get her out. She's a Russian agent. Yeah. Do you guys see how you have an unhealthy purification process where eventually you're left with just a 31% approval rating and a bunch of people that are talking to each other? And meanwhile, we're the ones that have Democrats in our cabinet winning the electoral majority vote, because there needs to be said, if Democrats are serious about being a majority party ever again, look at that ideological diversity. We have people that, they want to go to war with every country that says something bad against us. And then we have people that are far more dovish, like Rand Paul. But that is a better, more, dare I say, diverse picture. You could say diversity is our strength.
Oh, look at you. You said 2020 is when you started to see the Democrats sort of advance this notion of wokeism.
It's when the awakening
really started. What was it?
You know what I'm talking about.
No, but so is it? Yes, the Latinx stuff. That, by the way, not one person ever in my office has ever used the word Latinx.
So can we finally put that to bed?
Yeah,
we agree.
Where did that even?
No more Latinx, everybody.
Well, I just didn't even know where it came from. I'm like, what are people talking about? You've got politicians that are banning not assault rifles, but the word Latinx. They're not even serious.
Right? Some of you was watching this and being like, Brandon, you being too hard on Gavin Newsom, man. He's trying to turn the leaf. He literally just got on the show with Charlie and said he don't even know where Latinx came from. He not only tweeted it. Now, people do tweet on your behalf. I get it. But then he's in an interview, and out of his mouth, he said he has a problem with people banning the word Latinx or the term Latinx or whatever they call it, which is the epitome of stupidity. But he said it out of his own mouth. Now, why do you think that he's somehow genuine about this podcast? He's going after Charlie because he knows Charlie's audience, who may not necessarily like Charlie as much, but they listen to Charlie because he's fact-based, now view Gavin as an equal or a peer to Charlie. And therefore, he's more palatable to digest during an election season if he runs for office. Because Donald Trump is the bull in the china shop, is not going to be able to run again. And so now he's trying to leverage himself to be more moderate because he knows that the way he's been running things is not going to work. He took a dump on California, no pun intended, and now he's ready to move on. He's not going to fix anything. He's going to move on to the next election. Let's get to another representative who I would argue is the epitome of the things I speak about. I would like to believe, I wish that diversity of color was a good thing. Diversity of color is an existential threat to America. The diversity of ideas is what America is all about. it's unfortunate that many people of color have terrible ideas. I don't understand how almost every time I turn on the television or I turn on social media, a person of color is making a jack wagon of themselves. And they do it with like this pompous attitude, as if because my skin has a little more melanin than yours, I know everything about the Civil Rights Act. I have the authority to tell you that you dirty white people are bad for America. When in reality, the white people are the reason that black people even have a chance. Come on, I'm finna preach. Y'all don't have to like me. If it wasn't for white people, black people will have no opportunity. Even in the face of slavery, which was a horrific thing that happened to everybody, mind you, it wasn't just black folks. Even the horrific nature of slavery and treating people as subhuman, what spawned from that was good white people that never owned a slave, that won the Civil War and made sure black people were free and prosperous. Do you not remember that? Do we have what they call it? Amnesia? Who do you think was helping Harriet Tubman in the Underground Railroad? White people. It wasn't black people. They were putting their lives on the line to make sure black people were free to go where? To La La Land? No, in the North where white people were free, where black people were free, at the hands of white people. And then the North never owned slaves, never believed in slavery. At least they never implemented slavery. They are the ones that won the Civil War. So the victors who never owned slaves won the war and established this country as a non-racist, or at least a non-slave baiting country, or slave owning country. That's a better word. Let's not forget that. And I'm telling you, minorities need to humble themselves to a certain degree, because this woman finna sound so stupid, and I don't know what it is. Is the party where you see more mixed colored people, or a party of idiots? And they claim the party of Republicans, it's all white people. Well, why? Why the white people got all the good ideas? And the mixed up minority party is the worst. If we leave it up to minorities in this country, we won't have a country. I'm just being honest. I hate that it's true. But look at the way black people vote. We would be communist China if we let black people just vote. And there was no other people out here. They vote 90% for Democrats. Black people will have themselves in a state of a dictatorship, because they're so isolated and vote in one way. They will never, ever be competitive again in an electoral process, ever. One side has their vote, therefore that side does nothing for them. The other side will never get their vote, therefore they're never trying to do anything for them. Voila, you've played yourself. Go to Hispanics, which are a little better than blacks. Go to some of these other groups. Go to women. Women, somewhat of what could be considered a minority in society. Go to women. We'll be effed if only women voted. So humble yourself and say, maybe, just maybe, as minorities, we need to do something different. Because this ain't it, boo. Listen to this idiot. Roll the clip.
Chair, I recall a time in our country's history not that long ago, given that my grandmother just passed away, where people like my grandfather were told that they could not participate in sporting activities because he was a black man. I can recall a time in our country's history, Madam Chair, where people like my grandfather and my great-grandfather were not allowed to participate in processes and places in our society because of the color of their skin, because people for years, for generations, had told our society that Black people were less than human, that Black people were animals, that Black people did not have the brain capacity to compete with white Americans. And as I'm listening to this debate, Madam Chair, we are repeating history, Madam Speaker, in this debate, and it is very, very scary to me that we are making a lot of the same arguments today about this subset of our population that my grandfather, my grandmother, and my grandparents had to be subjected to for years.
All right. Her grandma has to be rolling in her grave. Throwing up, pooing herself, rolling in the grave. What is she talking about? There is no discrimination against transgenders in sports outside of the fact that it's unfair. It's unfair for a man with a ding-a-ling to be dressing up like a woman and beating the brakes off of women in sports. They're not just competing. They're whooping their ashy elbows. Do we not get it? The whole reason there's a male sport and a female sport is because men will beat the brakes off of women in sport. So they got to separate it or women wouldn't have sports. Let women compete against men in football. There will be not one woman that can play in the NFL. And somebody say a kicker. Well, you got 1,000 men kickers. You wouldn't have a woman kicker. There would be no track and field. There would be no professional cycling. There would be no volleyball, softball, tennis. There will be none of that. Have you seen men play volleyball? It's insanity. They jump 7 feet over the goal. Women wouldn't even score a point against men in volleyball. But we, the people of intelligence and common sense, say, duh. So let's give women their own sport so they can have their own sport. But what you Looney Tunes are doing is saying, I guess men can now get into women's sports and disenfranchise them, which is what they've been fighting for this whole time. Just because you delusional about who you are don't mean that every woman have to suffer. And they beating them down, though. It's not that they're just in the race and they are equally having opportunities. They're whooping it out of these women. Whooping them. State champions, first place, podiums, records. And you don't see it happening with trans men. Women transitioning to men. You never see, they're not even spoken about. We can't find a single article where it's unfair for a transgender man to compete against other men. Matter of fact, you ain't never gonna see a trans man get on the podium. He ain't gonna get top 20 because he a woman. Woo! Why are we this is what make people look stupid. You're making a whole argument about the civil rights of blacks in America, and you're capitulating to less than 1% of the population. Black people were not less than 1% of the population. The majority of all black people lived in the South. They were discriminated against because of their color. They said you can't play in sports because you black. You got to go to the back of the restaurant because we don't want the Negro in the front. You got to go around the back and get your food. You got to drink out that water fountain because we don't want the Negro to drink out of this one because that's for the good whites. We want the Negro to drink out of that one. You sorry son of a guns ain't been through nothing in this country. You were never a slave. Nobody ever had to fight for your rights, and you piggybacking off of the bodies of black folks. It pees me off that you can jump on the bandwagon. Civil rights. Civil rights? Man, ain't nobody care that you trans. You just trying to disenfranchise women. Ain't no restaurant won't serve you because you trans. Where? Name one. Find a trans water fountain. Find people getting lynched because they trans. Come on, find it. Y'all piggybacked off the black struggle. It like y'all can feel it, the vitriol. I want to cuss. I'm just going a whole rant of just MFing everybody. That's what I want to do. Because I'm sick of it. I'm sick of what they're doing in this country. People need to stop being silly. If you're trans, you're less than 1% of the population. Maybe, just maybe, you got to sit this one out. Fool. You know you're beating these women off, beating them when you were a man. Now you transition. You got to sit it out. You can't compete. There's like if somehow, as a 25-year-old man, I had to go back to high school because I technically didn't finish a class in high school, so I got to go back to high school. And you think I'm going to go back and play sports? I'm going to go back and be like, no, it's my right. It ain't even fair. I should be able to run the 400-meter dash against 17-year-olds. That ain't even fair. I beat the brakes off of little 18-year-olds. Why would I want to go and do that to them? Same thing when you transition. Bro, you look, you a man, bro, and you feel like you in the wrong body. Did that give you the right to go and beat these women over the head in sports? Oh, okay. Let's go on to the next one. Boy, I'm heated on that. I'm so sick. Why are we even talking about this? How is this a thing in America? Man, God has given us so many blessings. What are y'all doing? Y'all fumbling the bag on some corny stuff. And you see Leah Thomas in the locker room with them girls. I don't want to go down this again, but homeboy putting his dingling out so all the girls can look at it. He looking at breasts and booty all day. And then everybody say it's totally fine. That's totally normal for that dude to be in that locker room. And then tell the women, if y'all got a problem with it, y'all need to quit the sport. Just tell him to tuck his ding-a-ling away or change in the corner over there. Why you got to change with the women right here? He doing exactly what a man would do if he had an opportunity to be in a locker room full of women. Naked. Fine. Of course he's going to pull his junk out and show it to everybody. He got all the mental imagination he can get. All he doing is staring down the barrel. Oh, that's what she looked like naked. Oh, wow. You think he ain't in there doing that? Come on, bro. I'm going to give y'all a quick tip. When I was young, men didn't want to change in front of each other, right? We ain't want to look at another man wing. I don't want him looking at mine. Boys used to be weird about that. Like we were like, we want to, you see the girls' locker room and they got dividers and stuff. We didn't have nothing. We all out in the open and we were the most insecure. Even in college, dudes used to train, they had a towel around it. When they come out the shower, they put their towel on. When you in the shower in college and we talking at the wall. I'm talking to you, but I'm looking here. You can't don't look at my wang while we talking. All right? We had one dude in the locker room want to put lotion on, be naked and talking to everybody. Bro, put your wang up and then we can talk. I don't feel comfortable talking to you about stuff with your wang hanging out. This is how men are across the entire United States in every sport. Majority of men. So why would Leah Thomas have the courage to pull his wang out in front of women and just be there changing? Because he got some freaky stuff going on. All right. Oh, I was talking about trans stuff. I wasn't even trying to get into trans stuff. One of the topics I'm supposed to be talking about is trans athletes dominating women's sports. Let's play this real quick while I'm on the topic for those of you just joining. Let's play clip 1 because this is the type of stuff I'll be talking about. Roll it. They ain't never last. let's go to clip 2, or it says photo. And this happened because allegedly, and I think I seen this person online. Is this person or another person? They mock women. I don't know if it's this one, but I seen one running and I said, let me find who this person is. I looked on the social media and the person was mocking the fact that he whooping these girls, mocking them. He beating them by laps and laughing and mocking and showing just the whole channel is the highlights of him beating the brakes off these women. I don't know if it was this one, but allegedly the person ran in the meet by themselves because the other people decided that they wasn't going to run no more. They did not show. Okay. And this performance, A.B. Henderson's performance in Ontario relays, which is, no, it's not none of these. I think that may be the one that we just saw. A junior at, I think it's Jurupa. I think this was called Jurupa Valley High School in California, won the girls' triple jump event, which wasn't that one we just saw, by a margin of 8 feet. God. Do you know how crazy an 8 feet triple jump victory is? You beat somebody by 8 feet. You know, like the world record. Let's pull this up real quick. Somebody can do this for me. Just pull up the 2024 men's high school state long jump. I just want the top 3 people. If you can get 3 to 5 people in there. And I'm going to show y'all, for those of you who are not familiar with track as much, the difference in competition, the difference in how far each person is jumping. When I used to do long jump and triple jump, people used to win by a foot. You killed everybody if you won by a foot. 1 foot, you killed everybody. It's like you dominated. Normally it's by inches, right? You jump a 25-3, and the winner jumped a 25-8. And the person only won by a couple inches. 8 feet? We got it yet?
Pulling up stuff that's bringing up Arizona.
8 feet? I mean, women probably in high school are probably jumping, I don't know, 18 feet. I think they probably ain't even jumping 20 feet. Women are probably jumping 18 feet. And this person probably jumped 20-some feet?
Yeah, 2024, Colorado 22 feet, Utah 22 feet, and a New York student 23 feet.
Yeah, so when you go to state championships, it's 22 feet, 22 feet, and 23 feet. Yep. You got the biggest margin of victory in the top long jumps for men or women?
These are for men.
For men. High school long jump. The biggest margin of victory was 1 foot. This person beat these women by 8 feet. That's like double what they did, right? They jumped double. Oh, but it's no big issue. Sadie, in the Open Masters Championship, the USATF Championship, transgender athlete Sadie clinched first place in the women's 400-meter dash at the USA Track and Field Open Masters Championship. The other participants, including Anna and Amaris or whatever, were listed as did not start. And I think it was a little Transformers. And let me just talk about this real quick because I got it written down here. It says sports organizations starting biological testing for athletes. The World Athletics introducing genetic testing for women in sport. The new rule is that World Athletics will require female athletes to undergo a one-time genetic test to confirm they do not have the SRY gene. The test ensures that only athletes who meet the biological criteria for women can compete in female sports. The decision follows concerns about transgender athletes and differences of sex development. Non-invasive tests such as a teeth swab or blood spot analysis will be used. The World Athletics believe the rule will withstand legal challenges. Why is this even an issue? Let's move on. I want to give a quick update of this earthquake, which was absolutely insane. Now, this was a category 7.7 earthquake in Myanmar. It happened on the 28th of this month. This month. So a couple of days ago, this happened, and it was absolutely insane. Those of you who have already seen this, I just want to play it one more time, just so you give you guys some updates. So far, it's over 2,000 people that have died in Myanmar, and in Thailand, there's about 19 people that were reported dead, and this has stretched hundreds of miles. And buildings are collapsing and everything like that. I'm gonna show you this quick video, and then we'll move on. Roll it. Here, you can mute the sound. You guys know what I think about. You can watch it and listen at the same time. You know what I think about when I see this? I'm like, thank God that we don't live there. Not that anything against the people, but it's like we should be grateful that we are living in a situation where this is not happening to our own families. Like we should not take that for granted. Like I always think about that. You see catastrophic things happening around the world and you're like, God dang, that's crazy. And the thing is, more than likely, we don't have to worry about things like that in the United States of America. One is because our infrastructure, now I don't know because it's a category 7 that no infrastructure can withhold what happened to them unexpectedly, especially traveling probably over 100 miles away. But look at this though. They almost went out the building. Imagine falling off of that thing from the swimming pool. Look at it. He over there hunching, and they about to fly out of that thing. You look at this. Look at this. Imagine that water throw them off the top of that thing. God dang. It broke the glass. Look, the glass broke. Let's see if that little float fall off the top. Look at that building swaying like that. God dang. Oh my God, dude. I would have a heart attack right there. I'd be dead off a heart attack. I have had dreams of this. Let me talk to this real quick. I have had dreams about this. Now, I have had multiple dreams. Hold on, pause it right there. Because I want to play that. I've had multiple dreams of me being in a building, is shaking and collapsing. I don't know if God has given me a prophecy, but there was no direction. It's not like I was in Thailand and this happened and I knew that it was going to happen. But it's interesting now I'm thinking about it that I had a dream and that clip triggered my dream. Because in my dream, I was at the top of the building. It was swaying like this and it came crashing down. I felt it. I almost felt like I was there. I probably need to pray more because maybe God will reveal it to me like, Brandon, this is going to happen at this time. That's why you having this dream. But it's kind of interesting that I had a dream of falling and I was in the building when it fell. Now, I don't know how y'all do it, but I could wake myself up out of my dreams. So when the dream getting spooky and weird, I'm like, get up. I can't be falling down in the building like this. But this was not to make fun of the situation, but this was kind of entertaining because these guys were, I don't know where they were at. I think they were somewhere in Asia, but they were somewhere close to the hurricane, but I mean not hurricane, but the earthquake, but not quite there. And this is their real-time experience in a high-rise live streaming. Add the sound and roll it.
It's like what the f is that? Nigga, it's just this is a tsunami? No, that's what's happening. But it's an earthquake. Are you serious? Bro, what the f is that? No, I'm dead. What the f is this? No, bro, this. No, let him die. No, this shit.
He said he's about to die.
Bro, what the f is going on? Why are you laughing? No, I'm dead ass. I don't know. look. Hold on, gang. Jalen? Oh, we gotta go. How do you get out? We gotta go. We got stairs. Oh!
But this is where that thing following those people. God dang. Dang, they wipe all those people out? We should have had a warning before that. God dang. You can play the sound.
What happened? Oh my God.
Hold on a second. We should do a survey. How many of you guys have ever been in an earthquake? Have you guys ever been in an earthquake? One. Have you been in an earthquake, Dylan?
Yeah. California.
I was in an earthquake when I first married my wife, or before we got married, when we were first dating. It was the spookiest thing that ever happened to me. And I was on the 4th floor. She went to work. I was at her house. And I'm just sitting in there. And I'm like, because you know how sometimes you sit in your heartbeat and it kind of make your body move? If you're just kind of sitting there. If you just pay attention to it. And I was like, bro, ain't no way in the world my heart beating that hard. Am I having a heart attack? Because I had never heard of an earthquake, right? I'd never been in California, spending any significant time in California. In Texas, you'd never feel an earthquake ever. It didn't exist. Arizona, no earthquakes ever. Well, there has been, but it's rare. It's like getting struck by lightning 5 times in a row. And I remember going, and I'm like, oh, shoot, I'm in California. This is an earthquake. I fear for my life. And then when she got home later, it was when the shock wave came through. So the shock wave is bigger than the earthquake, the initial. Man, that thing went, a picture came out the wall. I'm like, man, we gotta go. We gotta get out of here, which is probably the dumbest thing to do in the moment. But I was like, man, I gotta get down the stairs. We only on floor 4. We can get down here for this building come crumbling down on top of us. Imagine being on the 70th floor and the building going like, if I made it out of that, I'd move. I could never live there again. I could never be in a building again. I had like PTSD. Anyway, finish it. That building's hanging.
Oh my. Mama lihat lagi.
Well, I was just at the office working, and it's in the afternoon, so we were on a lunch break, and I was just at the office sitting here, right here, actually. And when it happened, everything's just shaked up all of a sudden, and I didn't realize, like, it was an earthquake, but then I realized it was not stopping, so I just, go under my table and put the cover and hide, and I just waited there, hold it. and feeling it. And it was a bit quite a while. It was over a minute shake. So it wasn't just finishing at all. It took the world to me. And after that, I just come out of my table, and then I just realized that it was such a big earthquake. Everything was shaking. I mean, my paintings, the TVs, everything was shaking. In Mandalay, it's so desperate. Mandalay, it's just 12 miles away from the epicenter, and the damaging of infrastructures, the buildings, the roads cracking, airport's tower was just falling, and the bridge, and especially the building damage was so severe, and people are just, they so shocked. People are just, desperate, devastated. And when I see the damage at the bridges and the roads, it was so huge. I have never seen anything like that in my life before. This is so severe, and Mandalay is nothing. We can't. The communication is down, so we have no idea, how our friends and families are okay or not. Yesterday, it was after immediate effect. The connection was such a huge problem, and we were just trying to have the information, from the news and checking out how it was. But we were so astonished when we see the situation in Mandalay. Everything is like gone, and people are still trapped, and the casualties and everything is still counting. We had our teams, our GO team, already on the way to Mandalay just within 24 hours of the hit, and we're mobilizing all our resources as much as we can. So more teams are now going there because the road situation and all of that. We're trying to.
So you guys got a quick glimpse. It's very disheartening that this happened to people. What did they do to deserve this, right? I think about it all the time. The first thing come to my mind is these people that are like, if God was real, this wouldn't have happened. But I just think we don't understand God. I mean, God can do whatever he want to do. He can make it come crashing down, popping up. I don't know what y'all done did to deserve this. I don't know. Maybe we deserve it. I don't know. Who's to say we don't? But it is very sad. And if you got some prayers, pray for these people and their families that God can intervene in some way, form, or fashion, even if it's a spiritual healing or, a natural healing. Maybe they can't bring people back to life or nothing, but I really pray for these people because it's crazy. That's got to be terrible, man. I mean, these people just living their life and the building come crash down on them. It's like my worst nightmares get trapped up on a building or something. Just rocks on you, and you hear them out there, but they ain't never come and get you. They can't get all that rubble up. I pray for people to have peace in that moment, or for them to be rescued. That's my biggest thing. I just hope that if somebody's trapped under something like that, that God either give them supernatural peace or you go ahead and get them out of there. Go ahead and call them home early. I would hate for people to just sit there and suffer for 4 or 5 days with no food. And I just want God to take care of them people, man. Anyway, I got to get out of here. I got about 5 minutes. I'll try to do my best to get as many super chats as I can. I appreciate you guys super chatting. It's always a blessing for you guys to bless the show. All right, let's see how fast can I do these super chats. Am I ready? Okay, let's get it. Looks like it's a space here missing. Is that a super chat up there? No, I guess it's just the way it is. All right, can you make this larger? Here, I'll just try to read it like this. You ever notice that the Democrat rats day and night show like The View and Jimmy Kimmel always seem to have the same, okay, here we go. The same ohs and ahs and cheers and applause seem to sound exactly the same every time. 1,000%. I mean, it's all scripted. They script the show. I've been to shows where they got an audience. They put a sign up and say clap. They manufacture it. People ain't really clapping like that. That stuff's corny as a mud. But they got the do-do-doom punchlines, and then they have people clap. Does Ayanna Presley look sort of like Ball Bull from Mike Tyson Punch Out? Oh, I ain't played that game in a long time. I forget who that character is. It says Jasmine Harris looks fake, and she's a lazy eye, very rude woman. Yeah, Jasmine Crockett is insane. Let's see, Evan, thank you so much for the super chat. Guess who created all of the land, air, water? 100%. Let's see, just think about the fact that every star you see in the sky has already shined its light on us 4 years ago. We're just so small and far away. It took 4 years for the speed of light to get here, and our eyes should be humbled. I tell you what, I'm trying to be quick about this, but y'all, when you sit back and you think about this stuff, it's insane. Like, I fly a lot, and if anybody flies, you know what I'm saying. You start flying and you're like, ooh, wait a minute. This big old airplane is like a speck of dust in the sky. It's huge to us. We see it, we're like, man, look at this massive 747. And it takes off in the sky and it goes up there and it's literally a speck. And you can't even see it no more. It's a speck, this little in that big sky. And you probably only looking at it, maybe, I don't know, 40 square miles. That's nowhere near the vast amount of air and space and land and mass in this earth. And then you think about it, you say, well, that's just earth. What is all of that? How far did that go? How did God do all that? Or is it an illusion? What is happening? Oh, but these fools think climate change is going to destroy it. Like, yeah, 7 earthquake can take it out. A 10 earthquake can take it all down in 1 minute. Let's see. If my son gets into a fight, acting inappropriate, or feels he is something he's not, I need to know. 1,000%. I mean, look, they spend most of their time in school. We would have no visibility where they spend most of their time if your kids are at school. Newsom is sick. He needs to be fired. Yeah. Don't forget Newsom smashed his campaign manager's wife, just so you know. What is wrong with Kristen Reeves? I guess, is she mental or something? Trans should be and stay banned from women's sports forever. Yeah, why don't we just give them a category? Just let trans people run in the trans category. And then when they win an award, they win it as a trans athlete, and they don't win it over a woman who have no control over a man impeding on their sports. It's amazing. It amazes me how 13% of the population, Black and African Americans, and we somehow have some of the most stupid of them all in power, right? Reeves, Crockett, then they scream racism when they want more. That's the funniest thing I've heard. I get it. I got the time. I see it. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard is them. Well, the realest thing I've ever heard is that we got 48 million black people, and it seems like the ones that represent us are the stupidest black people. And black people ain't like that, to be honest. We ain't that silly. Keep proving our point, Democrats. Okay, let's see how many more I got. I got 2 more. Let's see. I'm originally from the Chicago area. The middle school in Deerfield has a trans and girl gym class. Faculty have taken it upon themselves to trap the girl in the locker room and ensure they're changing in front of the boys. It's crazy to me. Don Dunn, thank you so much for joining the Tatum Squad. Hey, I appreciate all you guys. I love you. I'll see you on the next one. I'm out.
Oh, the land of the free and the home of